Jim Palmer, the legendary MLB pitcher, achieved the incredible feat of winning a World Series game in 3 different decades. He also made history as the youngest pitcher to throw a complete game shutout in a World Series. But life isn't always smooth sailing, is it? Palmer's remarkable career was cut short by a serious injury, marking a dramatic and unfortunate end to his career. Palmer was born in Manhattan, New York City, on October 15, 1945. Just 2 days later, he was adopted by Moe Wiesen, a wealthy dress designer, and his wife Polly, a boutique owner. They lived on Park Avenue. Growing up, Jim played baseball for the Beverly Hills Yankees, where he not only pitched but also hit home runs as an outfielder. The family later moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, where Jim excelled in baseball, basketball, and football at Scottsdale High School. He earned all-state honors in all 3 sports and graduated in 1963 with a 3.4 GPA. Jim also shined in American Legion Baseball. His talent earned him full scholarship offers from the University of Southern California, UCLA, and Arizona State University, and a partial scholarship from Stanford University. Bobby Winkles from Arizona State suggested Palmer gain more experience by playing collegiate summer baseball. So Palmer joined the Winter Pheasants in South Dakota's Basin League. The team made it to the league finals, where Palmer caught the eye of Baltimore Orioles scout Harry Dalton. After the season, 13 MLB teams showed interest in Palmer, but it was Jim Russo and Jim Wilson from the Orioles who impressed his parents the most with their polite manners. Palmer signed with Baltimore for $50,000. That marked the beginning of a brilliant career, one destined for greatness, but tragically overshadowed by a terrifying injury. Palmer picked up his first major league win on May 16, 1965, beating the Yankees at home in relief. He ended the season with a 5-4 record. In 1966, Palmer joined the starting rotation. Baltimore won the pennant thanks to Frank Robinson's MVP and Triple Crown season. Palmer won his final game against the Kansas City Athletics, clinching the AL pennant. In Game 2 of that World Series at Dodger Stadium, he became the youngest pitcher to throw a shutout, defeating the defending world champion Dodgers 6-0. Over the next 2 seasons, Palmer battled arm injuries. He first hurt his arm in 1966 while using a paint roller in his new Baltimore home. Despite cortisone injections that helped him pitch through the season and the World Series, his arm still felt heavy in 1967. The pain lingered, casting a shadow over his promising career. On May 12th, Palmer threw a 1-hit game against the Yankees. But 5 days later, after a rough start against the Red Sox, he was sent to the minors. While trying to make a comeback with the Rochester Red Wings, he gave up the only grand slam of his career to Johnny Bench of the Buffalo Bisons. He pitched just 3 more games for the Orioles in 1967. Things got so dire that he seriously considered quitting baseball altogether. In 1968, he was limited to 10 minor league games and didn't appear for the Orioles at all. His career looked so bleak that Palmer thought about quitting baseball to go to college or becoming a position player. Palmer returned healthy in 1969, joining an Orioles rotation with 20-game winners Dave McNally and Mike Kuffeler. Although he spent 6 weeks on the disabled list in July due to a torn back muscle, it wasn't because of arm trouble. On August 13th, just 4 days after coming off the disabled list, Palmer threw the only no-hitter of his career against Oakland. He finished the season with a 16-4 record, 123 strikeouts, a 2.34 ERA, and an impressive .800 winning percentage. Just as things seemed to be improving, fate had other plans, and yet another misfortune struck. Palmer had a stellar run, winning 21 games in 1972 and following up with a 22-9 record, 158 strikeouts, and a 2.40 ERA in 1973, which earned him his first Cy Young Award. However, his success hit a snag in 1974 during spring training when his arm started acting up. He ended up sidelined for 8 weeks due to elbow problems, losing 7 consecutive games before going on the disabled list in June. Diagnosed with an ulnar nerve injury, he received treatment from orthopedic surgeon Robert Kurlan, which included rest, hot and cold therapy, and medication. Though surgery was considered, Palmer's pain eased enough for him to return to pitching in August, finishing the season with a record of 7-12. Palmer reached his peak again in 1975, winning 23 games, pitching 10 shutouts, and achieving a 2.09 ERA, leading all pitchers in the American League. Then on July 28, 1976, he received a fine from AL President Lee MacPhail for hitting Mickey Rivers with a pitch the previous day. Then came a money-related controversy. After earning $185,000 in 1976, Palmer was hopeful for a raise in 1977. Initially offered $200,000 by the Orioles, he held out for $275,000. They eventually settled on $260,000, plus a bonus for making a significant contribution. In both 1977 and 1978, Palmer won 20 and 21 games respectively. Despite his 20-win season in 1977, the Orioles hesitated to give him the bonus. The Players Association intervened, filing a grievance and threatening arbitration. General Manager Hank Peters eventually conceded, granting Palmer the bonus to avoid losing him to free agency. From 1970 to 1978, Palmer won 20 games in every season except 1974. During those 8 seasons, he pitched between 274 plus 1-3 and 319 innings per year, leading the league in innings pitched 4 times and earned run average twice. He also threw between 17 and 25 complete games each year. His health issues then brought an abrupt end to his career. From 1980 to 1985, Palmer struggled with arm fatigue and various minor injuries. Despite these setbacks, he provided a stabilizing veteran presence for the pitching staff. In 1981, Palmer had a dispute with Doug DeCinces when DeCinces missed a line drive by Alan Trammell in a game against the Tigers. According to DeCinces, Palmer was swearing at me and waving his hands in frustration after the play. After Palmer struggled with a 6.84 ERA in 5 starts, GM Hank Peters declared, "Palmer will never start another game in an Orioles uniform." His final major league victory was memorable. In relief of Mike Flanagan during the 3rd game of the 1983 World Series, Palmer held off the star-studded Phillies lineup without allowing a run, securing a crucial Orioles win. The 17-year gap between Palmer's first World Series win in 1966 and his 1983 victory is the longest span for any pitcher in MLB history. He remains the only pitcher to win World Series games in 3 different decades. Additionally, Palmer holds the distinction of being the lone Orioles player to participate in all 6 of the team's World Series appearances to date. His retirement followed his release by Baltimore in the 1984 season, ending a career marked by a 268, 152 record and a 2.86 ERA. Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1990, Palmer earned this honor in his first year of eligibility. He then attempted a comeback, but fate dealt him another injury, sealing the permanent end to his illustrious career. In 1991, Palmer made a comeback attempt with the Orioles. Unfortunately, after giving up 5 hits and 2 runs in just 2 innings of a spring training game, he retired for good. Palmer revealed that he tore his hamstring while warming up for the game, saying, "I wish I could keep going, but I just can't." From 1994 to 1995, Palmer teamed up with Tim McCarver and Al Michaels to broadcast for ABC. Palmer currently sits on the advisory board of the Baseball Assistance Team, a nonprofit organization that supports former Major League, Minor League, and Negro League players facing financial and medical challenges. With that, we have reached the end of the video, and at this point, you surely know the drill. Make sure to subscribe if you already haven't, and do tell us who you want us to cover next.